Good evening, guys. I've got a semi-smile on my face after the debacle that was Saturday evening. We've got a Monday in the house. We've got bath time in the house. We've got Rebel in the house. That game's gone. We've got another game coming up, but we will discuss tomorrow. But there's been so much news to talk about. There's no point in letting you know what we're going to talk about. It may be a slightly open show for you, but we do have a few topics to talk about. Guys, let's get the show on the road. Good evening, gents. I'm going to start with you, Rebel. How are we doing?
Not too bad. Still trying to remove Newcastle versus United from my memory because that was absolutely brutal. But I had my Christmas party at the weekend, so that kind of cancelled out the disappointment, just a small of it.
A Monday. Did you play yesterday?
No, frozen pitch. They cancelled it the night before. The groundsman knew it was going to be cancelled, so we knew from like Saturday night that it was going to be off. So yeah, I went out on Saturday night, and obviously I've just got to catch up on the game and the lack of poor attitude that we saw, lack of desire, seeing all of that, man. I just want to say I put up a better defence today than Man United. It seems I had the choice: lose my job and punch up a man threatening me, or call the police. And I decided to call the police.
Well done. I went quiet. I was thinking, oh, Monday. That's what I was thinking.
But it was a close one. I nearly thought, fuck his job. And yeah. But
it's good. It's good. You're still employed. That's the most important thing.
On Monday, we were singing, woo, woo, that's the sound of the police.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, God. Bath time. How are you, man? I don't suppose you kicked a ball over the weekend, did you?
No. The pitches were frozen, and half my team are big wussies. So all in the group text was about big lions and how much they were looking forward to not getting out of bed, which is quite ironic, as I've been asleep for the last 45 minutes.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's just like I love just being comfortable in December, like a big cat. Yeah, I'm pretty good, Mr. B. How are you?
I'm good, man. I didn't have a game. We set up the pitch and the opposition didn't turn up. we said, don't. 2:00. My players were fuming.
So you got all the way, were you home or away?
We were home. So right. I got them there an hour and a half before. Obviously, you know, you get the stragglers. And then at about 2:45, we hadn't heard anything from them. Boston, we have to go out and set up the pitch. Yeah. They're coming. They didn't come. 10 past. We got a call from their manager apologizing, saying that they weren't coming.
Oh my God!
The ref turned up.
The ref turned up. The ref turned up and everything. God. Yeah, we had everything. So yeah, it was a different Saturday, to be fair. But look, it was still better than the pile of trash that we saw Saturday evening. And obviously, you know, we will be discussing that as we're going.
Sounds quite close, to be honest. Players not turning up.
It's stupid. I hate it. Well, look, there you go. See, all, you know, Man United players will not be turning up at the moment, the way that they're going. We've got a couple of, we say boring bits. So look, it's Man United news, so we will be getting it out of the way. The head to Newcastle, guys. That's the link that's going around. Look, we'll get your opinions. We'll get your tell a lie. You know what? Let's start again. Can we go to the chat?
Yeah, most certainly. Let's do this. Big T's saying here, the dressing room is gone. The game is up. It's a matter of now, farewell Ten Hag. So obviously we put up a poll, didn't we, Rebel? The poll was asking the players or the manager who goes. And apparently some of you can't see it, but you can maybe answer in the comments. Big up to Big G. He said Eden fellas. So regarding the poll, Box voted for neither the players or the manager. He said, I don't back the players or the manager. They're both at fault. So he's saying there. Big G's saying here, what a bunch of wet wipes players we have at the club. We have players that think they run too much. Unbelievable, Jeff. You honestly couldn't make this up. These players are an embarrassment. Wow. Big G, Big G. Big up to DK Wilson all the way from the States. Nice to see you nice. And Rajiji saying, good evening, peeps. How are you all? Big up to Vincent. How you doing, Vincent, as well? Obviously, we're touching on this. What do you make of Scholes? He's saying he would find it difficult to play alongside Bruno. And evening, boys from King T'Challa. Hope you're all doing well. He says, be glad to hear your thoughts on everything United. That's why we're here. Big up to Staffy TV. He's saying, Bath Time, the legend. We know that. Everyone knows that. Big up to Bath Time. He's in the house. Big T saying, Scholes keen talk complete sense in his opinion. Big up to the main man, Solo. He said, big up everyone. United needs a clear out. And he's prepared to do it himself. You will need to set up the poll again. It's not there. Thank you very much. Rajiji's just saying here, what is extremely hard with the injuries we've got at the moment. Eric Tenan wants to implement a 3-1-3-3 formation. He used the Ajax. That's from Rajiji as well.
He may want to implement it, but we don't have the players to play that system. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's going to work. But look, we'll get on to that. We've got the tactical maestro down the bottom there with his face all covered as usual. So look, we'll get on to that. But look, De Gea to Newcastle. Obviously, Pope's done his shoulder. De Gea is available on a free. Thoughts? We'll start with you, Rebel.
I think it'd be a great move for him. I think he'll absolutely smash it there because he's still a top-class shot saver. Newcastle have a decent structure in front of the goalkeeper, so I think it'd be a great move for him, and he'll probably come back and haunt us.
A Monday, bath time?
Well, I personally think he's like a jealous ex, and he's just coming back and stuff. He'll be an absolute disaster at Newcastle United. Like, I don't really know what to sort of say about De Gea. I think it's quite spite driven, him coming back. But what I would love to see from the Ineos group is for him and Phil Jones to get their match at Old Trafford this summer. Like they put in a decade of service almost with De Gea and certainly with Jonesy. I would love to see them like have a charity match or something like that. Maybe even get Ronaldo back if Ten Hag's not here and try and repair some bridges over just the disaster of.
Get who back?
Ronaldo.
What Ronaldo?
Cristiano.
Getting back to where?
For a testimonial match of.
Sorry. Okay, right. So, sorry. I heard come back. I heard the test. So my brain just right. Apologies, bath time. Continue.
Yeah, like I'd like to see that. I'd like us to see us mend our bridges with both De Gea and Ronaldo, as they're like, you know, they're people's heroes. Like we saw them every week for a decade or whatever. But this De Gea going to Newcastle United reminds me of a jealous ex turning up with the guy out of IT or something. I mean, I wouldn't pay too much credit to it. Omondi, do you have any jealous exes?
Oh, plenty.
And
then
so
crazy as hell. But we'll say this: look, De Gea hasn't. I'm really surprised. This world-class shot stopper. I thought he said store saver, like a store rebel earlier. And they say, I think he's not been picked up by any club out there in all this time. Why? That would be my question. And I did see a tweet the other day from, I think it was a fake one, but saying 30 goals conceded in 15 games or something from De Gea's account. I think it turned out to be fake. But obviously, you talked about revenge bath time and the jealous girlfriend thing coming back, you know, to show, look what you could have had, you know. Here's what you should have won, or like bullseye with here's what you could have won. Sort of thing. If he plays for Newcastle and gets in top four, and that would be, you know, for him. I don't know how he feels, but I think he feels a bit shafted from the way he left the club. And you talk about getting a testimonial and all that. I heard that Santi Cazorla might be coming back to Arsenal in January to play one game in the FA Cup or something as a testimonial, as a tribute to him. So I'm all for that. If Phil Jones and De Gea or Ronaldo or Remy Moses or Norman Whitehead, whoever comes back just to fill the boots of these players, because They're not working hard enough. So these boys can come in and fill their boots. Yeah, most certainly. Do you want to say a couple of things about the De Gea question though? If De Gea goes to Newcastle, we will beat them. Maguire loves putting the ball past De Gea. That's what
nicely done.
Lovely. And also, I
Well
want to pick
done.
up Andy Tate, because Andy Tate backs the manager as well. I've seen you, Andy Tate. He's backing the manager. He says, "Good evening, guys. All I'm going to say is I will back the boss and F Sky Sports and the links as well." So we're on the same page there. Big up to Rush Mano as well. And we've got Matthew Bassett saying here, De Gea to Newcastle is a downgrade for them. He has limited ability, and I don't see how he would fit into their system. There you go.
I want him to go and stink the place out. I want him to play how he played for us when he left. People forget how shit De Gea was before he left. Guys, do you know remember how much games he cost us?
Oh, I remember the Everton games where every season he'd produce an even more extraordinary howler. I think the last time he played Everton, didn't he kick his ankle on the post and fall over?
Yeah,
he's booted the ball in off one of their men before. Absolute comedy.
So look, just remember what he was like before he actually left. Before we get all nostalgic, but yeah, he can do what he wants. He's not a United player, and rightly or wrongly, he's not at the club. So I really don't give a toss, to be fair. Varane, obviously he's come up with the normal spiel about wanting to stay and fight for his players. Although Maguire said that and he's ended up staying. I don't know if it's by default or by design. Omondi's obviously left think it's by design. But look, Varane's come out with these quotes today saying that he wants to stay. He's not interested in a move. Do we believe him? Is it something that we feel is just press related, PR related? Or do you think that he is going to stay and he does have a way back with Eric, knowing how just the sort of hardline approach that Eric seems to be taking at the moment?
I mean, for me personally, Varane's legacy at club football will be the Champions League. And I find it very difficult to sort of think that Varane will be happy moving off to Saudi Arabia or whatever luxury destination that he can choose without having a crack at the Champions League, or at least going out and putting a good performance. That will not happen at Manchester United, in the foreseeable future. So I think that Varane is telling porcupines. He's saying exactly what he needs to say, and maybe, as Big T says there, maybe it's a case of him just waiting out the manager. Just keep everyone on side, say the right things, go to training, and then Ten Hag will go and he'll get back in the team.
I think that's what Sancho's doing as well.
100%. I think Sancho's doing that.
On Monday, Rebel.
Look, I mean, Varane, can we just speculate? I mean, I know haven't got the answers here, but can we speculate as to what's gone on with Varane? I think it could be a case, so I'm just throwing this out here, that the manager has laid the law down and some players don't like it. And I think Varane, he said something to Varane, and Varane thinking, as you know, the statement that BATHTIME just said about Champions League and Champions League Varane, and he's got that status. He's probably thinking, "I'm over you, Ten Hag. I'm clear of you. You can't tell me nothing." Or it gets to the point where you're losing so badly, you look at the manager and you mumble under your breath, and you go and have little clicks in the change room and saying, "Who is this guy? He can't tell me nothing." Or you chat to Sancho and telling him, leaking to him about, "Oh God, yeah, he said this to me today. Oh, I can understand. I'm with you on this one." So Varane seems like a good professional. I don't know what's gone wrong. He's the last person I expected to be in the SHIT with the manager. And I think he is in the SHIT with the manager because he's not playing games. And he would be entitled, with the money he's on, with his status and all that kind of thing, you would expect him to be playing. So something's gone wrong somewhere. And I think the players don't like to be treated like kids, but they are acting like kids. This is the problem. You don't want to be treated like kids, but you act like kids, and you're acting like little spoilt brats. And if you can't be told, it gets to the point where the manager is selective about who he's telling off and that kind of thing, then you've got a big problem. I think the manager's just been completely honest if you make a mistake, I'm calling you out. And maybe he's calling people out in front of other players, which might be an issue as well. And maybe he's getting a little back chat. Maybe Varane's turned around and said, "Oh, F you," or something like that. Something's happened for him not to be playing. And if he starts playing again, maybe he says sorry. He said sorry or something. If Varane, it's like same with Sancho. Sancho comes back into the team, he said sorry. So because it's come out there now, you're gonna maybe Sancho, he's done. I think he's done out here, because if he comes back to the team, obviously he's had to humble himself. And I heard a quote from Anton Ferdinand the other day saying, "Oh, well, he's from Peckham. I understand him. Why he ain't said sorry." What's that got to do with anything? What, you're a roadman or something? You're a footballer. You're supposed to be professional. You know what I'm saying? There's supposed to be a hierarchy here. You're the player. You got a manager. You listen to that manager. You're just promoting this kind of attitude, which we sound like old men. We are. The average age on here is like really old on this panel. But
Wow.
Apart from you, Barthan, you're still a young man. But I do think I'm fed up with this young generational thing where you lost sight of respect for elders. We see it daily on the street, that kind of thing. And what you need to do is respect your manager too. Me and Mr. B are coaches as well. We find that every week when we're coaching our team, there's a lack of respect out here. So,
Monday, sorry to stop you. As coaches, would you take a player off and then say the reason I took him off is because I wanted to play football to like the national media? Would you say to a Champions League, like 5-time Champions League winner, that he's benched for tactical reasons? Would you call out the team in pre-season, like saying that their effort was that they were unprofessional or whatever he said, like about the team in the pre-season, especially after Sancho has gone mental about being called out for a match he wasn't even involved in?
The answer is yes, 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 and yes. The reason why, because a lot of people want Ten Hag out. I want him in because of he's doing all this. Because it needs to be done. It has to be done, bro. I'm sorry. We've seen it before with the previous managers, cutting toenails, powdering these guys and all that kind of thing, getting the towel out.
It needs to be done.
This manager has laid down a law and he's calling everything out. If you can't take it, come out the kitchen.
Yeah, but when has this ever worked? Can you name an example of a club where this has worked?
From Brian Clough.
Jesus
in recent recorded history. And Brian Clough, didn't he go and do that at Leeds and they all just threw him under the bus? That's
just their bad luck. They didn't. This guy's got a proven record at Derby.
So it didn't work?
He had a proven record at Derby.
Did it work?
He had an attitude. He had to come in and say to these guys, you got this. Imagine this. This is a perfect scenario. You just set me up for a win-win here.
Yeah, but did it work?
You're going to take an L on this one. Because
no.
Brian Clough was manager of Derby, a small club. Okay, he's come to the big club, the champions, with egos, big players with big egos, and they couldn't take it when the manager come and tried to put them down. They couldn't take that, and they drove him out of the club, and that was player power, and that was wrong because he could have taken them to Champions League glory. They ended up losing to Bayern Munich and getting screwed over, whereas he went on to win 2 Champions League in a row with Nottingham Forest, a smaller club. This is what I'm saying.
They were the defending champions, and he told them to throw the medals in the bin because they hadn't earned them. Yeah. And you think that that's the way? You think that Ten Hag should be as similarly insane as that?
Not as insane as that. I'm saying he needs to lay down a law. Don't you think, Rebel? Because look, I've given a great example there with Brian Clough. He came from a smaller club, winning things, turned up at a big club, and people with big egos, like we have at Manchester United Football Club, telling them about themselves. They don't like it. They're crying. I'm leaving Sancho. I'm leaving Ronaldo, and all this kind of thing. And what you're left with is true warriors, true people who can take it, and then we'll go on and win the double Champions League, just like Clough did, if we got the players with the right attitude. Ain't that right, Rebel?
Well, I'd be honest with you, I don't think the Varane and Sancho situations are comparable. Number one, Varane is still on the bench, so there's obviously a difference in the way that Varane is engaging with Ten Hag than that crybaby Sancho who threw his rattler out of the pram as after dumping into his diaper once he's bottom washed, his talcum powder applied. I think some of the players at Manchester United Football Club are soft, they're leaks, they do not have any interest in playing for this shirt, and they don't deserve to wear it. Whether they manage to get rid of our manager or not, that's another conversation that we'll be having later. But they should not survive either, in my opinion, if they have taken a hand in this, because we are in Groundhog Day. Manchester United is Bill Murray, and the clock is going round and round over and over again. I have no respect for any player that will not fulfill his contract. Jadon Sancho is a player that is one of the top 5 earners at Manchester United Football Club. He signed a contract to fulfill a job, to go out and play football, to train as the manager dictates. It is not his job to go, oh, but the training's too hard. I don't want to win. I'm sorry, no, but give it a rest, lads. If you do not want to play football, there's a door on over yonder, and out you go, and you don't come back, regardless of who manager is in the future.
Defo Rebo, mate. You got a supporter here in Rushmore, Rebel. He's down with you. Just cut
Mr. B,
comment.
thoughts on Leeds in the 1970s?
Yeah, before the time I was really interested in football. It's crazy how Monday's got these 40-year-old 50-year-old quotes going on of talking about Brian Clough. I think there's ways to manage a football team. It's known that our players don't like discipline. They don't like discipline, and it's something that's been inbred in the club. So I'm like on Monday. I would rather the manager stay. Look, we'll discuss that anyway. But there's a lot of trash at the club who are just there driving around Manchester in the evening or doing whatever they're doing in their big whips. You know, maybe they're not even driving around. Maybe they're staying at home having bunga parties. I have no idea. But they have no interest in playing football at the moment, and it disgusts me because the club are playing for their lifestyle. They're playing for their wives and girlfriends' Birkin bags, and they're not doing anything to earn it. So I'm glad at what he's doing. It's even got to the stage where I'm thinking, you know, certain players who I've been backing for are just throwing it back, not in my face. He doesn't give a toss about me, to be fair, but throwing it back in a lot of people who backed him's face. We're going to go through some of these comments on Monday before we get into some quotes from Nemanja Vidic, and we can discuss what we really did. The real
Big T saying, to quote the players, believe Sancho's training like a beast. Has Ten Hag got him in a cage? Also saying here, Ten Hag makes Sancho like a martyr. Want to say hi to Moss Sports. How you doing, man? Welcome to the channel as well. Andrew Williams is here. He said, anyone losing faith with Eric? Asked the question. Can any of the panel tell me who a defensive coach of Man United is? Because I've looked and it doesn't say any defensive coaches as well. Nah, get him gone. Manager, goodbye, says Rajiji. Young at heart, says our very own Andy Tate. How you doing, Andy? So, JR saying here, this is like the end of Ollie's reign all over again. This is where we got to last time, isn't it? When we got a manager out of the club. Big G saying here, we've got the legend centre defenders that were hard as nails, like Stam, Vidic, Ferdinand, etc. What do we have now? Complete wet wipes and pee holes. Big T saying here, question: can we all agree that Ten Hag's man management has been poor, different to the tactical management?
I would actually say yes. I am going to say yes.
No,
yeah, the one you say no. Really, on Monday?
What I gave us talk earlier about it. He's got to lay down a law. This is what we need. Precisely what we need. Man, listen. The clue is in the question. Man management. Okay, he's managing men.
But he's treating them like kids. He's
emailing
them about what socks to wear.
Their reactions like kids.
What Varane? You think Varane's reaction is that of a child?
It must be because he's on the bench now.
Do you know what the issue with what I heard? The issue with Varane was that he got dropped for the Man City game for Evans, and they had a discussion, and he hasn't played since.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't have played Evans over Varane in any game that Varane's fit.
I think it's more likely to be Maguire because Evans plays.
Yeah, it's the same side. Yeah.
Andrew Williams is on the page. He's talking about man management. I'm not so sure. I do not know what's happening behind the scenes. The stuff happening on the pitch and his signings. He's not impressed though. Question: who is fundamentally at fault for player power at Old Trafford? He's asking me and the panel, I imagine. But this goes back. There's a history of this about player power. And we saw that at Leeds when Brian Clough went there. We've given you a history lesson here. So maybe that was the start of it. Rajidi's saying here, all I take an L for not pointing to the right issue. Once Erik ten Hag has his own coaching team in place, you'll see a different style of play.
But he's got his own coaching. So who else would he be adding? Hasn't he got his own coaching stuff?
A little bit. It was, yeah. So we're getting there. Andy Herbert saying, I agree with him Monday. He's a smart man. JR saying bath time.
He's an Arsenal supporter.
JR saying bath time. Clough worked more often than the one time. It didn't.
Well, yeah, but the difference is was it Peter Taylor?
Yes.
His assistant manager. Peter Taylor was the nice one. Did Peter Taylor go to Leeds with him on Monday?
No, he didn't.
No, it only worked with Peter Taylor, who was the one that
he was a scout. Peter Taylor was a great judge of play. He's the one to bring the players in. And
and he also spoke to the players. He
was a bouncing board. He was a soft one, wasn't he?
Yeah, he it was good cop, bad cop. Cloughy went to Leeds like bloody RoboCop, and it didn't work out. And it's the same with Ten Hag, isn't it?
Just want to say, culture in football needs to change. Says Big G. I agree with him on Monday. Football is a man's game, not a woke, soft, mincing, wet wipe game. There you have it. That's why they threw Mourinho under a bus. That's from Anthony Herbert. Rushmana, how you doing? Said we have no structure to enforce discipline other than Eric. So we have to back him. Big up to Stuart Marshall, man. Enough respect, Stuart Marshall. He's saying it's the same old SHIT. The players are the problem, not the management. You see where they're going here? Big T's asking the question, would the panel welcome a new manager bounce versus Liverpool? There's so many going on here. Quickly, just a couple more. How many players went against Fergie? The rest is history. Keane, Stam. So there's two that went against him a couple of times. Question on Monday: does a real man not show compassion and understanding when he has a dictatorship ever worked? When has a dictatorship ever worked? He's asking. I can answer that, but I'll be controversial.
Yeah, no. Oh, all right. Well, don't.
I won't. Yeah. Okay. I know history, guys. Remember that. And Black Bolt saying good evening. It's Groundhog Day all over again, as Rebel was saying earlier. There's more. Keep them coming in. By the way, big up Teddy. Welcome. So good evening, the family in the chat. And keep the comments coming in. Big up Jeff as well. You're in the house as well. Yeah, over to you, host man.
All right. Look, obviously on Monday you were talking about years of what was player power. We've got a little quote here from Nemanja Matic. Oh shit, has I got that one? Oh bugger, I got it in the wrong bloody order. Here we go. Oh, this one. Here we go. So this is Matic, right? So basically he's saying he was they had set up an internal fining system. Obviously it's to improve the standards of discipline and stuff. Of something you want to do amongst your team. I tried to be fair. I tried to do it on Saturday League, get it to do work. And people still didn't pay, but I wasn't the one getting vexed because the money wasn't in. But look, at Chelsea, players acted professional. They were punctual and never late for training. But at United, it happened almost every day. Matic said to an interview with you Planet. It's got among the players who would always be late were Paul Pogba and Jadon Sancho and a couple of other players. See, he's gone into there. The rest of us were always on time. We're angry, so we decided to form some kind of internal disciplinary committee with him serving as president. I put a sheet of paper up on the wall where I documented the names of individuals arriving late. During one particular season, we collected £75,000 in fines.
No way.
We had planned to use the money to throw a COVID party in London. Sorry, we had planned to use the money to throw a party in London, but we did it due to the COVID outbreak.
I bet they actually did, and they were partying with Boris and those guys during the lockdown.
Guys,
cool. That is so cool.
It hasn't left the club. You know, they thought it was Pogba. You know, they thought it was Sancho. Look, he's Sancho still there, but he didn't name a couple of others. It would have been nice. It would have been interesting to have named who the other couple of players were.
Lingard.
But without a shadow of a doubt. what happens, guys? There's gonna be that same. I feel that the cycle started again, where you're getting. So just we always have leaks. It's something that we're used to. That's where we get most of our stories from. To be fair, but there seems to be. I'm just seeing the Ole situation repeating itself again. And me personally, I don't like it. I don't like what I'm seeing. The fact that maybe Ten Hag had to do a lot of stuff himself in regards to not having the system around him. But I do believe it's the players that are to blame. Bath time. I really, really do.
I mean, in this case, Mr. B, the standout name that's not mentioned there that I think bears the brunt here, and I'm sorry to say this, Monday, is Harry Maguire. This is during his captaincy, and like Matic has declared himself president and gone and put like some sort of like committee that decides what all the things are. And in a dressing room, it's always run by players. And whenever you hear sort of Keane and Scholes of anyone who's played football at a decent level, they always talk about senior pros keeping the standards in the dressing room and at training. And it is absolutely shocking to me that dressing room was that out of control, that Matic, and I understand Matic was hugely popular and also was a polyglot. So he spoke a lot of languages and was able to communicate with everyone. Like, do you remember he used to translate for Cavani? Like when Cavani used to come on.
What was that? Sorry, what was that word you used? What?
Polyglot.
Wow, I've never heard that word in my life.
All right, multilingual.
Wow, polyglot.
But he, like for me, I'm appalled at what I've heard, and I lay the blame on Maguire primarily. I know he came in early to captaincy, and he didn't like understand the politics in the dressing room. But for another senior pro to have to create a disciplinary committee, go and like sort of put a sign up on the wall and point to it and go, Pogba, you owe $5,000. And Pogba's just dancing away with like Lingard and whatever. It's that's more shocking to me than the player revolt. That's what the training room, that's what the dressing room was like unbelievable. And I'm sorry, Monday, but I'm not a big fan of people saying like this person deserves or doesn't deserve the captaincy. But that is atrocious from Harry Maguire. That's his team, that's his dressing room, and like that's what it's come to. It's utterly ridiculous.
Back your boy on Monday.
I wanted to bite, and good one. You set me right up there. I feel like Jaws now, spinning around to take the bait. Yeah, you make a good point, but you're speculating here about Harry Maguire. How do you know Harry Maguire hasn't tried to call these players out? I've seen Harry Maguire talk to Rashford on the pitch, try to tell him something, and Rashford, as he was lip reading the other day, I could lip read on the pitch, clearly said "F off" back at him, as if to say, who the hell are you telling me so-and-so? So even if you are trying to implement these things as a captain, you ain't got the respect because you come from Hull or you come from Sheffield United, which it seems to me that's what it's about, then no one's going to listen to you anyway. So, you're going to end up looking like Pee Wee Herman trying to sort of orchestrate the American football team. Say, get it, like the water boy or something. Tell them what to do. You can look pathetic trying to do all that.
One day, Matic declared himself president during like Maguire's captaincy.
And Matic has not come out, and he just gave two names that are not at the club anymore.
Sancho's still there.
Well, he's not at the club unofficially. Officially, he's still there, but unofficially, he's gone. So why didn't he name the other players? Because he doesn't want to call them out. That's not being bold and brutal, is it? Calling people out. He's going to wait till he writes his book. These things don't come out, but we could guess. As Bathtime was saying, we can guess who's who and who's got attitude. So
we're not guessing about the captaincy, are we?
Going back to the captaincy. So you've accused Maguire of not being a good captain based on what Matic did by doing this list to say who's turning up late and collecting the money. And what they were going to do with the money. So these guys are turning up late because they're probably partying all night, coming in at 3 a.m. in the morning, turning up late, still smelling of alcohol, and coming to training.
Pogba didn't drink.
So you're saying they're raving, they're going out.
Exactly. Monday, Omondi, so
Which-
sorry.
which is-
You just said bath time was talking Jack and Nori, and you've come out with a whole Dallas episode.
All right. Well, I will tell you who shot JR. There's JR in the comments.
It wasn't Rashford.
It was someone
Even
else.
missed.
There was definitely a leak. But let me just say this. So let's picture this. Matic is there playing the guy now, looking cool, saying, yeah, this is what happened. And it's great. This is a great exclusive about what's going on at the club. So he's doing a list about all these people turning up late, raving, spending nights out, girls, all that kind of thing. Pogba,
He
Sancho.
hasn't said any of that.
All right. But here's the twist, which is really going to stump him. So what's he do with the 75 grand? He wants to take them out raving. That make it make sense. So
Very normal thing,
you're
Amanda.
penalising them for turning up late for
Yeah,
going
but
out
that's
raving.
okay.
And
So
with
when
that
you find
75 grand you get from the loot, you want to take them out raving, but you can't because of COVID.
That's how Christmas parties are funded.
That's how it
in the
works,
Premier
yeah.
League. That's very normal, and it's not just them; it's the kit men and like wives and families and things like that. It sounds to me that you're more upset with how the money is being spent as opposed to how it's being accumulated, which was under the watch of that big-headed, brown-eyed lover of yours, Harry Maguire.
I can't believe this. This man switched on me. He loves Harry Maguire too. He's acting like he don't love him anymore.
I like
it's
Harry
not-
Maguire,
it's
but
not
this is shocking.
One question. Score Harry Maguire's performance out of 10 the other day.
6, and that's generous.
No, he's not,
What
10,
does
he's
it-
not being honest.
yeah.
He's not
What
being
does that have? What does that have to do with what we were
All right.
talking about? How
Because
well he
I
played last
think
week?
you've turned on Maguire.
No, I
Right.
haven't. I'm saying that is
This is
shocking.
the biggest
from a
heel turn
captaincy.
I've ever seen on this show. That Bath Time was with me all the way with Maguire. Now he suddenly turned on me, turned on Maguire. Biggest heel turn ever. And now you're trying to
I'm
bury
not
him.
turning on you, Amonde. I don't know why you're making this so dramatic. You're such a needy diva.
Anyway, you heard my chat. Rebel, just tell the truth, man. Back me up here, please.
I can't back you up in this situation, unfortunately, and there's multiple reasons why that is not the case. If you are captain, you are the general of your manager, of your coach within the playing staff. You have signed a contract of employment, and there's specific terms that you agree to adhere to as part of that contract of employment. If you, as that general, do not have the cojones to call out the gobsheens when they breach such terms and not call them aside and say, listen, come here now, Jaden, you're on 250 grand a week, you're one of the top earners, instead of sulking in the corner because you got your hand slapped for turning up an hour late and not doing your leg work, you're going to put in this money into the kitty and you're going to take your medicine. It's going to taste bitter. It's going to go down like an absolute rotten egg, but you are going to face the team because you have let the team down. Maguire, in this circumstance, if the Matic story is true, did not then act as the sheriff. He did not come in like Johnny Law and dial in on the players that have called out and brought the team into disrepute. So if somebody else had to take on that responsibility, then that tells me that there was something wrong with the ethos, with the environment that the players are coming into. And we have seen this circle under Jose, under Van Gaal, under Solskjaer, under Ranić, and now again we're seeing it under Ten Hag. And the common denominator is there's a large percentage of that squad that has thrown out the managers under the bus and dropped their tools, even though they're on prime time money. They are amongst the best paid players in world football, but they will not play for this shirt. It's now time to look at them and say, gentlemen, you obviously will not play for anyone, because the next time the medicine turns sour, they'll do the exact same thing.
Wow. Can I just go through a few comments here? Because it's going to wind a few people up, I'm sure. DK was saying, well, if Matic is lying, we're going to find out real quick. I think it's a big exclusive. Andy's saying here, let me in that dressing room. I'll tell them what they are. Big G saying, get all the players in the locker room, throw Keane, Stam, and Vidic in there, and lock the door. That's a good one. That's a good one. It was Glazer that shot JR. Says Moss Sports as well. Ralph, here we go. Ralph Rennick mentioned it a long time ago, and he got fired for it. So all this bad attitude is going on within the club. Big G saying here, these players need a proper kick in as well. I think Maguire's part of the problem, says Rush Marno. Bath time is strategically keeping the heat off McDominay. That's Big T. Andy Williams saying Maguire was absolutely amazingly bad as a dressing room captain because he was sitting there on the bench with these guys, I'm sure. Stuart Marshall saying Harry Maguire has been our best player for weeks. That's how bad we are. Oh, God, that was almost good news. Maguire was actually decent last 2 matches, and then I make fun of the half human ways. Okay. I think the players think there's favoritism in the squad. Rebel, you are a turncoat as well, says Big G. You tell him on Monday, bath time is the turncoat.
Don't you tell me. I'm not a turncoat.
Maguire hasn't been bad. He's knuckled down. However, he still affects other players with his lack of pace. Monty's acting like Vincent McMahon when he found out that Kane and The Undertaker was in cahoots. Heel turn business. Rushmano saying Maguire, Rashford, Sancho, Martial must be the SHIT stirrers. The problem is Eric wanted rid of players and ownership wasn't prepared to take big loss. Glazers again. Rushmano. There we go. So it's always comes back to the Glazers. Face it, the dressing room is gone now, says Anthony. Ed Mayhem, how you doing? Say big up, guys. Maguire played well Saturday. Rashford dreadful, like a lot of ESPN,
especially
McTominay. Sorry, and JR Ewan. I thought you got shut. He said Ed Woodward would have paid 500k for a kid's seed.
Actually, on Monday, there was a player mentioned a second ago by Rush, Martial, and I want to ask Mr. B about him because he was a big fan of Anthony Martial. Yeah. Roy Keane has claimed that in order to find his level, that Anthony Martial needs to drop down the leagues. You're muted.
I don't care where he goes. I just want him to leave.
Who, Martial?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm Monday, man. He plays well when he's on a sub because he's under no pressure. He's coming on to run around and make, do his short passes. Give him a whole game when he knows he's got to run. But he don't do quatty. He did nothing. He did nothing on Saturday. So my patience with a lot of these players is wearing thin, and it's gonna run out on the players a lot quicker than it's gonna run out on the manager. You spoke about Keane. You spoke about I don't remember who you said just quoted. Rebel.
Roy Keane?
Roy Keane. Was it Roy Keane? Right. So Roy Keane and Paul Scholes. So I said it's Monday, man, and I feel like I'm a space cadet already. I'm going to be in trouble come Friday, boy. Keane and Scholes. They've come up with some quotes. Let's look. On Monday, fill us in. Bath time, fill us in. Rebel, give us your opinion, guys, in the chat. Give us your opinion. Are they right? Are they wrong? Oh well, they did Martial, they did Rashford. I heard Carragher went in on Rashford, yeah, and Bruno as well. So obviously the press are having their normal feeding fest, but it doesn't help that our players are walking around with their asses out with strands of meat there for these lions to be munching on. So guys, let's get this part. Let's get this part done. Bath time.
I think that they're fair in what they were saying. Scholes in particular was talking about how he would dislike playing with Bruno Fernandes because he doesn't know where he is. Like the manager can't get hold of Bruno to play in a position. Bruno seems to do what he wants. When he plays on the right wing, he won't hold the width. I think he gets too far up the pitch. I think that McTominay should be the furthest forward, especially when you're playing Højlund, who likes to stretch the pitch vertically. And I think that Bruno should be deeper. And I don't know if that's... I think Bruno is a good professional. He's never injured. He loves the club. He doesn't think his teammates out. But he's too ill-disciplined with his positioning on the pitch. and he's too ill-disciplined with his use of the ball. And as for Martial and Rashford, I saw something absolutely shocking at the weekend. There's a clip going around of us playing a high block with Rashford, Martial, Bruno, and Garnacho. And most people would tell you that it's a combination of Rashford and Martial's fault. They both, even though Rashford's body position was wrong and things, they both actually were in okay positions. Bruno did not press the space correctly. He had the opportunity to cut a pass off, and which would mean that Garnacho comes on to his man. And this is a lack of coaching. Like, I think that the issues all over the pitch are a lot of it is down to the players, but I think it's equally down to the fact that the system isn't being explained and coached to them properly, because it's dreadful what we're seeing out there. And Omondi, I can see you making that face, but I'll tell you what, I'll tell you this, right? I don't care who the manager is. There are three things you need to be like a team in the Premier League. You need a level of physicality or fitness. We don't have that. Players are complaining about training. You need the ability to play through a press, like in the Premier League. Everyone thinks it's about like half turns and things. It's not. It's about the structure on the pitch. And you need to be able to press correctly. Those three things are down to the manager, and the coaches. Those can be. Those are the things that he can address directly. I personally think that we should get rid of a lot of players in the squad now, because, like, I'd get rid of all the superstars. To be honest, right? I'm probably going to get shouted at, but I would be looking at Brian Mbeumo at Brentford, John McGinn at Aston Villa. Names that won't excite you, but tactically disciplined, fit players, and just get them into a system. And over the years, we can upgrade the players. So I want the lot of them out. I want the superstars out, and I want the manager out. And I want players that will run and do as they're told, and a coach that can coach them how to do the very basics of football and prepare them physically.
Can I just add one comment, because my bit on this is going to be very short on the back of Bathtime's comment. Is it a case that they're not being explained properly what the manager's trying to achieve in the coaching sessions, or is it a case that they're not willing to be coached? Because there could be a bit of both.
I doubt that strongly. The players, like, they want to be better at football. Rashford and Maguire, as much as they're motivated by money and things, they're motivated by being in the England squad. If they can't be part of a cohesive press or understand these things, they're not going to play at international level. And it's very important to them.
Rashford doesn't deserve to go.
No, he doesn't. But when they go to the squad and they meet up and they hear about all the training that other players are doing and stuff, like, they're like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? Like, what are we doing at United? And that's one of the things that's come out today in the leagues. So I'm not supporting the players on this, with the exception of training, because it sounds like the manager is getting them to train their bodies. And that is something that they 100% should have input into. If you think you're being trained badly and it's having an adverse effect on you, like, physically, I think that you're well within your rights to stick up there. But no, Rebel, to answer your question, the players will 100% want to understand the system and will want to play in
it. Do you guys want to jump in on this, or?
The one thing I would say, though, is the one, like, when you're offered an obscene contract and you've got we saw it with Conor McGregor. He made 100 million off the Floyd Mayweather fight, and he turned into a right little toe rag. We've seen players who hadn't really justified the contracts that they had been dealt through no fault of their own, as bad organisation in the upper levels, and the agents ran with it. But it's very easy then to all of a sudden go, well, I've made my payday. I don't have to do a jack bean for the rest of my career, and I'll tumble down and I'll get a contract to somebody else, and I'll have a nice little bank balance when I eventually retire, and maybe having spent 90% of my career sitting on bench.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, we're talking about Keane and Scholes, aren't we? And the comments they had. And these guys, you know, they got the credentials. They've really worked hard in their career. Keane is a proper leader. He carried us virtually to like our glory during our glory years. And Scholes was a super talented midfielder. Someone to this day people still rave about. If you talk about Pep Guardiola and Henry and Zidane, they all there was Pep was saying he'd build a team around this guy. So super talented, top player. And so you have to listen to when they're speaking because they've been there and done that. They've got the quality there. Also, the Scholes was talking the other day about Bellingham, and he was saying it's a shame Man United didn't get him because he's really impressed. He said Bellingham could go on to be the greatest English player of all time. Could. And he said the reason, but he said the main reason for his this claim that Scholes was saying is because of the desire that this guy has, the maturity he has at that age to go on and do what he's doing at Real Madrid. As you know, he's smashing it right now. And England have got great chance of winning Euros based on the squad that we have. So it's about attitude, really. This is what they're all saying here. You could be great players technically and everything else, but I think what Keane and Scholes are basically saying is you need to have that desire and the right attitude to play football at the highest level. And this is what we're not seeing. So we can, point out incidents from the game at the weekend where we looked like we lacked desire, and we looked at Newcastle United, their players running around like headless chickens. Not headless though, they were playing to their system. I just think we got players. It's like there's a pedestal, like you were saying about the Conor McGregor fight there, Rebel. There's a great analogy. I think every player is like, oh, Man United doing for me. How much can I get? I've made it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Where's the fire and desire? It gets blown out 100% once you come to a big club like that. You need players to come in, maybe at Manchester United, with that desire. This is what I'm saying. Give it 2-3 years and bring these young players through who are hungry and got that desire. When you start bringing players through that are getting the wage and getting the corner and think they've made it, as soon as you reach Man United, maybe it blows out their fire, blows out the desire of the players they once were. I mean, we can look at players of the past that play great at lesser clubs, and they come to Man United and they're not the same player. You could look at Gordon McQueen. He was a league winner with Leeds, and he came to Man United, and we only won FA Cups, for example. You can look at from Ipswich, Alan Brazil. He turned up. He won trophies at Ipswich, lesser club. Had the hunger. Came to Man United. Probably thought he made it. He starts drinking and acting the fool because there's drinking culture. So maybe there is an element of that. That when you come to Man United, you think you've made it, and you don't have the hard work anymore. That's why I agree with Bath Time. You do need a captain that's going to string people up and highlight these things and to pull people up for being lateness, for punctuality, and not putting the effort in as well. That's most certainly. I just want to name. I was driving home and I was thinking about a player today who's really impressed me, who's got that desire and gone to a moved club this year, and a player that I've never would have thought. I thought he's a championship player, but one thing he's got the desire, he's got the will, he works really hard, he's physically good and a good athlete as well, and his mentals seem to be off the charts as well. And he's been signed. He used to play for Nottingham Forest. Now he's been signed for Tottenham. Do you know what I'm talking about? Welsh international.
The Welsh boy,
Yeah.
Johnson.
Brendan Johnson. Now his dad, I think his dad was a footballer, but I've been so impressed with him. I would never, and I was thinking, why didn't Man United sign him? Because he's got all those attributes. He's young, he's showing a lot of quality, and he's got all those attributes where he wants to impress. He drove at someone the other day playing for Tottenham. Who did Tottenham play? Man City.
Gvardiol, he drove at.
Oh my! Did you see that Bath Time?
Yeah.
Touch, and gone, and really went for it, and had the desire to get through. And I think that's a player that we need to sort of start not worried about. Champions League Varanes or how many Champions League you won.
And Bueno and Mbappe.
Sorry. So is it now? So it's now. So we need to get new players in who have got better so-called attitudes. So what about the manager?
Bellingham. He's one of the world's best players right now. Could be a Ballon d'Or winner. Could be one of the best England players of all time. What makes him that? Scholes. Obviously, he's got the correct credentials. Scholes and Keane have the credentials. They said he's going to be one of the best of all time, not because of his talent and being a physical beast, but because of his desire, his maturity, and his drive.
Right. That's internal, though, on Monday. And this is the point. A lot of these players don't have the internal drive. They've made it now. They're done. They play for Man United. That is their pinnacle. You understand? So there's no
Well, the question is, would this Johnson guy, would he be producing that if he came to Man United, or is he doing that because he's at Spurs, and like Spurs are a sort of a smaller club,
Smaller team, yeah, less
or is it
pressure.
the manager or the system or what? What like would he be a success at United on Monday?
It's interesting to know, but I think what you do have there, Steve Bruce was signed by Fergie for the attributes that we're talking about right now. If you look at him, he played at Norwich City, came through the ranks, and he was signed for his attributes. You know, Fergie knows about this because he had to pick a team at Aberdeen with a small budget, and he had to get players with the right attributes to fight hard and beat teams like Real Madrid in a
He
couple
did it
of
with
finals,
Cantona as well.
take over from Rangers and Celtic. So I think Fergie learned the hard way. He come from a hard-working, grafting city like Glasgow. He had to realise these are the fundamentals you need to put in to make a good player. So these are the things that we need to be looking at, whether it is Paul Mitchell or whatever coming in. You need to be looking at this, scratching the surface, saying, yeah, great YouTube highlights. Yeah, he looks fantastic. But scratch the surface. What else? What's his character like? Does he really want this? You know? And that's what is so important. I think you need these things will never change. You have to sort of stick with the fundamentals: mental, physical, spiritual. This is how you should be looking at when you buy.
Right, but Monday, right? Ralph Ragnick, who I dislike and everyone else loves, he said that we needed about 10 new players to come in. The manager has brought in 10 new players at the cost of 400 million. I completely agree with you. We have to change that. We have to stop looking at ballers and start looking at players like John McGinn. Even, they're above us in the table. Ollie Watkins, John McGinn, even Tyrone Mings.
But are these system players, Bath Time?
Yes, that's the point.
Right. United don't have a system.
That's the point.
Understand? Right. So somebody's put it in. Until things above Ten Hag change, we're gonna be in this. We're gonna be in this cycle, no?
No, because the Glazers aren't responsible. The Glazers are responsible for a lot, but what we will get under Ineos, I hope, is that we will get a football director who has a vision of the system we're going to play. So let's say it's 4-3-3 or whatever. We get rid of all the players that can't do it, the players that don't run, and the players that won't do as they're told. And unfortunately, there will be players that stay that you won't want to stay, and there will be players who you want to stay that will go. Like, for example, I think in this case, someone like Aaron Wan-Bissaka would go and Delo would stay, because Delo is a runner, and I think he does what you ask him to most of the time. You then want to go out and get these players like Johnson, like McGinn, like an Mbueno, or even players like Danny Ings that no one likes. No one likes these names, right? They're not exciting enough, but you get them in to play a system. And then over the years, you upgrade them with better players, which is exactly what Manchester City and Liverpool have done. And when you look at all these players that we think are beneath us or whatever, you look at teams like Villa and Newcastle, who are so far ahead of us because they've recruited to a system. And my issue is, although I'm not against the idea of keeping Ten Hag on, if we get rid of like all the players, if we get rid of Martial and Casemiro and of Rashford and give him like the Danny Ings and players that he wants, I don't think he's a good enough coach to get them there. But I think Amonde's got a really good point, is that at players that run, that do as they're told, and give them the platform to sort of succeed, instead of spending all this money on Casemiro's and Antony's and Martinez's and Varane's, who were all ridiculously overpriced or on ridiculous wages. And thank God for Saudi Arabia, because that's the only chance we've got to move them on.
Can I just say, actually, Omondi mentioned fundamentals. And again, just to use Ralph Rangnick, he said, where are the files on all these players that we should be doing our due diligence on, doing our homework on? They weren't there. There's questions.
Do you know the context of that?
He asked for, he named apparently a number of players, asking where's their information on these players, why hadn't they picked up on bargains that other clubs have picked up on and we seemed blissfully unaware of.
But there's this ulterior motive, Rebel, where he was like, he has a consultancy company run by the assistant manager of St. Petersburg, where he offered all of those things. He had the files, and he was trying to get us to buy them.
That may be true, BATHTIME, but if you look at our signing history, now actually Varane was pre-Ten Hag. It was he was an Ollie signing, believe it or not. If you look at the signings that we've done, the billion that we spent over the last decade, there's so many players that are not fit for purpose. You mentioned the Ten Hag signings. He's had 8 money signings. The rest have been either free transfers or loans. So that's 8 out of a 24-man squad that he's really had a rubber stamp on. I think you have to look down deeply at the homework that we're doing, the preparation that we're doing, and then ultimately speaking, the way that we're looking after the conditioning of our players, because the amount of injuries that we've had this season, there has to be some sorts of questions over the why. Are we doing enough? Are our physios picking up possible injuries before they get to the stage where you're missing 2-3 months? Could it be a case that if they spotted it, the player might miss a week, 2 weeks?
I mean, we can answer both. We can answer both of those points using the example of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was, believe it or not, at the head of a list that included 100 players that had been scouted for the right back position, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka came out on top. I know, it's unbelievable. And also against Brighton, Wan-Bissaka was on the pitch for less than 5 minutes before he went off with an injury, despite the physio department telling Ten Hag he's in the red zone and that you can't risk him. So sometimes I think it's not about the information that's coming through, because we've identified a hell of a lot of good players like Alphonso Davies, Bellingham, all these things. It's more about the decisions that are being made at a sort of managerial level, and maybe with the Glazers as well. But that's got to be a structural thing. I think that the majority of the scouts and the physios are probably extremely qualified and work really hard. And it's more about how the information is sort of relayed and interpreted by the manager. And free signings do count as signings. Like Eriksen is a free signing, but he's on 250k a week, and is another short-sighted and ridiculous signing, to be honest.
That's a fair point. I was just looking at the scouting history, and I think until Ten Hag came in, that most of our scouts, a lot of them even were part of the end of the Fergie reign. That's how long a lot of our scouting network was in place.
Is it Lawler or Taylor or someone? Jim Taylor was our head scout for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you have to question then the abilities of those directors of football roles that BATHTIME, you've mentioned countless times that we are so lacking as a modern football club, because those decisions are decisions that would need to be made by somebody at that level and saying, going, okay, maybe we're falling behind the curve in this. It's time to refresh the scouting room.
Well, I think in terms of director of football, I think Fletcher's got to go after appointing Rangnick and Erik Ten Hag and being vital in those discussions. I think that's two big misses and two extremely costly misses for the club, with Rangnick missing out on Champions League football. So I think that, he's definitely got to go. And when Radcliffe and the lads come in, they'll do their 100-day audit and they'll look at things like the scouting and so on. But at the moment, the problem is that we've got a revolting dressing room. We've got a manager who doesn't seem to have any control. And we need Matic back, President Matic, with his fines to save us. It's just a ridiculous situation.
And actually, just to update you on the poll, 69% of the chat are currently saying that the manager should be kept and that the players are the ones that need to be given walking papers.
Common sense has prevailed. Common sense.
Take that.
And to the 30%, or the
31%.
31% of people that said different, you need to really sit down and think that one through.
Well, look, that's what you're here for. But we've run our course. I think everybody.
It's been a great show, don't you think? Trying to sort of.
I like when we bump heads. I like when we bump heads.
And I apologise to all of you guys, and obviously with the swear jar building up, I will take you all out for drinks.
That's one of your better ones, Mondo.
Can I just say though, we're not going for Guinness in London because my God, they're murdering Guinnesses over there.
Can I just say, you had a good weekend, did you, Rebel?
You know, we had a little bit of
It's
a little bit of that.
It must have been good, Rebel, because I'm sure you were supposed to be on our midnight reaction show. So you know, let's not get it twisted. At 6:48, I got a message on my WhatsApp. Why would I be up at 6:48? Oh no, I missed the show. I've just woke up off my sofa. So Rebel, I know it was a good night, my friend. I know it was a good night, guys. And with that, you know, we're going to say we're out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow.